Hello and welcome to the Business Growth Show, where we talk about all components of business and how to utilize them for exponential growth. My name is Athin. I'm a business growth expert who help business owners grow and scale to create wealth and freedom. Today, I have an awesome guest. His name is Fabrice Beillard. He's a profit, growth systems, and strategist, and is coined as a leading freedom generator as the founder at Australia Business Coaching and Meant for Business. Fabrice and his team have proven systems built after interacting with thousands of business owners all over the world, identifying the process, the codes to build business success consistently, and putting them into systems that you can replicate. Programs are distributed in various areas of the world by some of the most prestigious personal development and business education partners and promoters, such as companies also work, for instance, with people such as Sir Richard Branson, Anthony Robbins, and most other leaders in the field. And Fabrice has achieved staggering figures for businesses and has a proven track record and helped businesses to the tune and personally sold millions of dollars. And he speaks from verifiable experience and personally sold millions of dollars of goods and services, including multi-million-dollar sales. And Fabrice and his businesses have been featured in a range of media and has been sharing his knowledge on a global basis with other global leading business experts and thought leaders as part of panels and awards judges, sharing the stage with other leaders, authorities, or invited as a keynote or guest speaker for major and global organizations, governments, and universities such as Harvard. Welcome, Fabrice Beillard, and thank you for being on my show.
Thank you very much, and great accent and pronunciation of a very difficult name to say in English. And thank you for a great intro and also for inviting me. And I've heard a lot of great things about your show. I've been knowing all the great things you do for businesses for many years, so it's a pleasure for me to being here. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, mate. Awesome to have you here as well. I'm sure you're going to add a lot of value to everyone, watching and listening today. So you're a successful entrepreneur. So for those, people don't know who you are, just, introduce yourself by telling us a bit more about you and your journey.
Okay, thank you. I guess, as you can hear from my very strong American accent and my very English name, I originally ethnically come from France, but I've lived pretty much all over the world for most of my life. And I guess it's been always challenging for me when people ask me these questions, because when you see, many other speakers, as I was, traveling around the world, doing many events and so on, people always have this story of going from rag to riches, and they had all these dramatic things that happen. And I was like, oh, I didn't have that many problems, actually. And so I felt like a little bit, oh, maybe I got to find some problems in my life to, look more credible. But I just like, no, it's good, actually. I've, figured out the way to navigate my life with peace and, fun and all of that. But I guess if I can highlight maybe just two little episodes. I've been, always interested in business, and most particularly small business, because I believe that they can do things that, government and large corporations are not able or willing to do. And the second thing also is that I've always been someone who is passionate about freedom and choice and being able to have, positive impact and to live the way you want your life. And for me, small business is the number one way you can get back control, buy back your time so you can invest that into creating the kind of life that you want. So that's the journey I follow. After being in corporate, doing like for a few years, like turning around business units and, being sent to, I say, fixed places and like high pressure and a high stress environment. And I was really young at the time. And because I was doing well, I was keep on being given more and more, things to do. And I was like, okay, well, if I'm able to do all this, and I took some companies from, 2 million to, tens of millions and beyond and beyond. And I was like, why don't I just do it for myself? And that was my first business. And it went well. After the first year, I had enough passive income that I never had to work ever again. And I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And I learned some lesson along the way. And a couple of years later, that business, got sold. I only had a profit share, and I had basically, I was left with nothing, and I had to restart from scratch. And that's when I learned some of the more sort of guerrilla, kind of way to build a business, because I had always been used to have teams and to have budgets and like, things like that. And now I was like, okay, I got $100, to do my marketing. So I got to get smarter than everybody else to make it work, and figure out business models that don't require a lot of capital or, any of those things. And so that was a good sort of learning experience. And um, I was forced also during all those years of my career to do a lot of sort of, prospecting and things that were putting me way outside of my comfort zone, me being quite, introvert and shy and stuff. And so that was all like good. So that was my sort of first thing. And probably the second other moment, after that, I've owned and invested in, or like like basically developed or grown, and more importantly helped just thousands of people all over the world to build their own success and help. We got a large proportion of our clients now that are in the tens of millions in their businesses, so there is like definitely like something that has consistent track record. But there was a point that in 2017 where I was about to do an event. It was an event where I was speaking that was headlined by Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the day before the event, I just basically couldn't walk. I woke up and my back was like so bad that I thought I'm just gonna have to cancel, which is obviously would be pretty bad. And I went there and I thought, okay, why is this happening? What am I doing wrong? My body is obviously giving me a message, and I need to figure out. And so, yeah, it sent me on a second journey from there. The first one was to learn to empathize for people who have a business that didn't have all the tools and the resources that I had when because I always thought it was easy, and I realized that, for some people it's not. And the second part was to go, there's no point to, basically do an endless chase of success, because past a certain point, the yield that you get is not as strong once are able to meet all of your needs. And really that, you have, I'm really passionate about what I call holistic success, which is that your business is here. Our, slogan is more life, more wealth, more impact. So it's about how you can contribute, how you're able to, have quality time with quality people. Otherwise, you just get trapped in the thing of sometimes we get people who come to us, they're doing extremely well financially in their business, but they, pretend that everything is good, the status looks great, everything looks good. But when they start to drop the mask, they're actually quite miserable in some areas of their life. And to me, that's not really success. And that was my second lesson, I guess, in my journey to, you need to look, after your body. You need to put some level of balance, because yes, it's great to have a lot of fun and to fly all over the world but sometimes you push too much, and you've got to keep some level of parity, and to feed your how to say it, if you don't have your health and if you don't have control of your time, you have nothing. So I guess it forced me to be even more congruent with that. Yeah, so that probably would be the two key highlights that might be relevant for your audience here.
Yeah, awesome, mate. Thanks for delving deeper in that, and always great to know the journey and where it's come to, and then how you've helped a lot of people from there as well. So let's get into it now. And I think there's a lot of challenges in business, right? And you said it was easy towards the start, but you'd obviously had a lot of knowledge and experience in the background there, and not every business owner has that. And if we're thinking maybe in the earlier stages, right, of business, what are some of the biggest challenges you see, and how they can be overcome?
Okay, this is a great question. So we have a tendency to probably like attract more, for the last few years, probably because people see the results of others, people that tend to be already doing well, and that want to, I call it from good to God or goddess, and basically also want to use the good results they're doing in the business to basically start to spread out to the rest of their life and so on, right? But there is, how to say, I'm still passionate about helping, other businesses. And we do an event twice a year called Super Growth. And the reason why I call it Super Growth is because most people at the beginning are only focused on growing their revenues, and they don't do it with the end in mind. And what they end up doing is being stuck in a trap where they grow their salaries, they want to grow their status and all the things that is costing them their health and, you know, their peace of mind. They grow their taxes, their headcount, a lot of things that are just putting a huge burden on them, which can be okay if you build the right systems and all of that to handle it. But I guess in the start of it, people are just going all over the place. So my thinking is, as long as you are, you know, under a certain level of revenue where you're able to meet, you know, all of the commitments to be able to grow the business successfully without it being like a chore where you have, you know, money to invest in marketing, money to invest in your support and so on, you should be spending 80 to 90% of your time doing business development. So an example, let's say, that we would use, say, if you are someone who's offering expertise or service, or let's say that you are like I don't know, someone who has a massage shop, just as a random example. Yeah. So you would say, okay, how much do we need for this business to operate, you know, properly until we can start to build more people in there? If you're really starting from nothing and you just got to go out and do it yourself as the technician, which obviously is the least ideal, but just pretending for here. And you say, all right, okay, I got to have 3 days where I have one appointment every hour and a half. And you're going to just put all those in your calendar, and every single time that there is not a real appointment in your calendar on those times, it means those times is when you are doing marketing, prospecting, and selling, and like speaking to qualified people and building your lead engine and your skills in conversions. So for me, the number one, how would you say, issue, I guess, with most people who are starting the business is that they have some limiting beliefs in terms around selling and around generating revenue that is stopping them to own their value, and that is stopping them from communicating with the right energy and confidence that for people to be wanting to acquire their products or services. And that is the first thing to focus on, is how. So in the super growth, we basically stack a few elements that are the ones that I feel are the main traps where people get stuck. So number one, you have to learn how to market effectively with low cost and no cost lead generation. Okay. So we have a list of like hundreds of, maybe not hundreds, but definitely dozens, and way more than 100 of ways where you can generate leads online and offline. And you pick the ones that are relevant to your industry, your personality, and all of those things. Once you have some lead flow, then before that and at the same time, you want to learn how to have an effective sales process to be able to convert those, suspects into, prospects, or into buyers, and to be able to get cash flow. Once you have that, then effectively you are already in a space where you can start to afford to buy the things and the people and the technologies that you need to fill all the gaps where you are not strong, and to be able to build the business in a way where you are going to remove yourself from it and turn it into a real business. So this is the number one thing. The second one that usually people are not great is that we empower them to make sure that they have a very clear step-by-step plan, strategically and tactically, that they know exactly what they need to do, when and how, and where they have also the skills that we teach them of personal productivity, so that they stop wasting so much of the time doing crap that is completely irrelevant, and where they get scattered getting this video here and thinking that they have to do this right now and this other thing that they have to do right now, and they get so overwhelmed doing thousands of things. When we actually work with people, our goal is usually to say, let's cut all these 1,000 things to 2 or 3 or 4, simplify the thing, help you to be super productive, help you to understand how to be a great marketer, and to have a great plan that you can follow. Once they have that, now, the last piece of the equation is to have some basic financial literacy. Most businesses that are not doing well with the numbers, they try to avoid looking at them because they don't like what they see, or they are not doing well with the numbers because they do not understand how it works, which is why they spend all of the time in the wrong places. But yeah, in the super growth, when you get those 4 particular modules taken care of, then there's no reason why your business is not going to crack the $1 million mark. And then it's a whole different, process that starts from there to get you from being busy to having a real business that works without you. So, I mean, that's obviously my perspective. And I know from all the great things you do that you share my view on some of those. And I know that you've helped many people to, to go over those particular hurdles. Yeah.
Yeah. No, also, mate, I love that you really, spelled it out from the start, and what's really important there along that journey. I think let's talk about innovation now, right? Because just because you're doing well, right? Let's say they're at that point now where they're making money in their business. It doesn't mean that it's always going to be like that, right? Things can change over time. Competitors can look at what you're doing. So, do you want to talk a little bit about innovation and that how it's key, over time, to be successful too?
Yep. So first thing is a bit of a disclaimer. Like, I'm not like a huge fan for whatever reason of the word innovation, because it's one of those things like artificial intelligence and blah blah blah. It's a lot of like the hype stuff and so on. And also it falls within the some form of a philosophy of business that I really don't like, around always creating new products to push more consumerism and like with plan obsolescence and all these sort of strategies. And it's not something that sit right with me in terms of my values in life. And I'm someone who is like, I want to how to say, live in a place. For me, the environment is more important than being able to have a few more, digits in the bottom line of huge corporations. I'm happy to help small businesses when it's done in a sustainable way, where you can help your communities and your environment, and you don't start to get in the trap of just going for crazy amounts of power and money and so on. Like, so I mean, we did help some, like just like 2 weeks ago, I was in Asia and I met some clients, and they have huge valuations that are like into numbers that are just mind numbings, and what's the point of this really? But those people are using this money to do a lot of good, so that's okay. You know what I mean? And they don't do it because they just want to have the largest helicopter or whatever. So basically, in terms of innovation for me, the part of that I like is about both on a personal level as the business owner in terms of your growth as a person, and in terms of the business, is to have the understanding that it never stops. So if I look at all of the people that within our community, or that I've worked with over the years or whatever, that are doing extremely well, there are people who have a constant hunger to become better, to do more, and all of that. Sometimes it can be to the detriment of their well-being and their happiness. So that's when you need to tune things in. But in general, there was a thing, actually, a statistic. I don't quote me 100% on it, but I'm 99% sure. In the the Forbes 100, the people who were in the top 10 in 2000 were no longer there in 2010. So within 10 years, there's been already a huge reshuffle, and that happens all the time. Why? Because those companies start to stop innovating. And so it's not actually exactly that. Is they start to lose the connection with their customer base. They start to lose their fundamentals, and they become complacent, and they lose touch with what's going on, and they do not adjust strategically fast enough. So for me, that is what I would consider as an important thing to keep. Whether you want to call it innovation or not, that doesn't matter. And the second part is about consistent improvements. So if you keep doing the same things over and over, as you heard the quote so many times, Einstein says that if you expect different results, this is insanity. But I believe that in the modern world, it's even more than that, because nowadays, if you keep doing the same things over and over again, because everything is moving so fast around you, you're probably actually going to get backwards, as opposed to just getting the same result than you used to. And if you don't like that result, it's not going to improve, and it potentially your position might start to withdraw, because people and the world is moving faster around you. So for me, what's essential there is always to track and to measure what you are doing, and to always do those little consistent improvement. About all the companies that are doing, really well, usually it's ingrained in the culture to go like, how can we make the experience better for the customer? How can we, make our operations tighter so they become more profitable? How can we do better? How can we do better? That's really, if you look at countries like Japan and so on, when they used to have their heydays, it was really about this sort of mindset and thinking that, how to say, was putting them into the position of dominance for a while. So and it's got the benefits not only for just the how to say, the business, but I feel this is important for you to do as a leader within any organization as well.
Yeah, awesome, mate. Love it. Really, really powerful. A lot of great tips there. And let's talk as we're growing right now. I think systemization is really important, right? There because yeah, we want to take the human error out of it where we can, right, and put some good systems in place, automate, like you said, we become more profitable. So I'd love to hear your thoughts around systemization, right? Leveraging technology and maybe talk about some key systems, that are important as we're scaling that business, forward to get to that, that freedom level that we want.
Okay. That might be a bit more of a complex answer, so I'm going to try to keep some of it as simple as I can. Okay. And now, when people, are part of our programs and so on, then there are people who are specialists in specific areas, and there is a person that has only systems that's been doing this for many, many years. That, there is the training from, those particular people that they can go really deep into the topic, and they would know, on certain matters much more than what I would. And that's why, this is good to surround, like yourself, with sometimes people that have deeper experience in some areas. But one of the things for people, if they would want to, from listening to your call, to get immediate, implementation and value, and to keep it sort of simple, there's two things, processes that, that can be run, and that are very simple, free, and easy. And I'm just going to share basically just maybe the simplest one. I'm looking at basically splitting the business in. You just take a white piece of paper or whatever you type on your computer, anything, and you have 4 boxes, right? So the first one is anything to do with administration, right? The second box is anything to do with basically delivery and operations. The third box would be sales and marketing. And the last box is basically, all the stuff that belongs to strategic and leadership. Yeah. So nowadays, if there is anything where anyone that is in a leadership role or the business owner is still involved with anything to do with admin, it doesn't make any sense, because these are all things that can be done by either technology or that can be outsourced for like very, very low rate, where you should be focusing on doing the things that are at a much higher rate, right? So this is the first area where you would write all the tasks that are still being done by the wrong people or by yourself in the organization that are related to admin. And I would write to them, either they are to be delegated or they are to be automated, pretty much, right? Sometimes they might even be deleted because you're just doing things that aren't necessary. Yeah. So basically, that's the first part. Now, you apply the same with the delivery and the operations. That might take a little bit longer, but the admin should be a very quick and easy one that should save up you a fair bit of time. And then sales and marketing, where you replicate, all your processes and your language and your scripts and whatever needs to be done. And you can also nowadays automate quite a lot of that. And the last part is optional. Once what we do basically is we take the business to one of 3 points, through the different programs, whereby you can either sell for a lot of money and, go on out and, have a couple of years and do charity work or whatever. And then you get bored, and usually you buy back the business that people have screwed up for you, or you just start a new one, or you just do other projects or charity or whatever. Or you keep that business that is just, giving you like, you know, all the things that you need to take care of yourself and your family, and you keep some role as a chairwoman or chairman and just like, you know, have very limited input. And sometimes you do realize that this is really your calling in life and that you want this to become even bigger, and then yeah, you start to ramp up this business to become your life mission. Yeah. So basically, to get there, the systems is obviously a very important part to be able to remove you and to automate all of those parts. So in terms of the systems, once you've done those 4 boxes and you arrive to the point where you can make one of those 3 choices, some people will say, you know what, I'm out, I want some time out. And then basically you let go of that, and you have, you know, your board and your CEO that takes over, and like you just let the company run. Some other times you still are involved just at a strategic level, or you know, something along those lines. Some other time you just exit. You know, we have like a number of clients that sometimes are just selling their business and go on and do other things, and that's also completely fine. In terms of one last detail, when it comes down to systems, the other thing that you would want to do as well is to start to think about what are the ones that are going to be, you know, yielding you the highest leverage. And so what we tend to do usually, is to suggest to, I mean, if for our clients, we do it, you know, for and with them, but if you have to do it on your own, for different areas that you can systemize from looking at your boxes. It's simple. We do it in a very different way and much better, but that would be enough to get you started and to say, okay, out of these, which are the ones that have the most risk to my business, that if I don't, you know, do them properly, my clients would have a really bad or inconsistent service, or I might get sued or whatever. Yeah. Or the business might stop if, you know, I'm no longer around, or like what is going to be a risk operationally or for the sustainability of my business. Let's start with those. Number 2, what are the ones that are going to save me the most time and that are most painful, you know, into the organization? Those would be the ones to start to, and then there's other criteria and categories that you can look at from there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely, mate. Some great points there around systems and thinking about it with, like you said at the start, the end in mind, and then whether I want to exit, whether I want to stay in the business, be more strategic, all of that area there, and working on the higher level tasks, you know, than the lower ones that's going to really grow the business or get it to where you want to be. So I love that. Let's talk about health and energy now, which I know you're big on. You talked about, you know, holistic success earlier on today. So you know, it's really important, right? Because, you know, we can't, you know, if we're running ourselves into the ground, run a business and enjoy ourselves in life. So what tips can you give, I guess, you know, the entrepreneurs and business owners listening around the health and energy side of things?
I think that for me, like, you know, there are 2 main currencies in your business, right? So the first one is your time, and the second one is your health. And then from there, you probably like looking at how you can use your material success in your business to, sorry, I'm just moving around, is to basically make sure that you have all the capacity to do everything you need to do in your business. And if you are successful in your business and you do not like, how to say, have your health, you have nothing. Yeah. So that was the lesson that I got, I guess, a few years ago when, you know, my back was so bad that I could barely walk at that point, and like I just had basically pushed, you know, too hard and ignored a few things. Over the years, because of that, I've spent like thousands of hours and many more thousands of dollars to try all the different, you know, things. I didn't want to do things that are too much unnatural, and like, you know, I don't like the words like biohacking and all of this. Like for me, I was trying to be what is, you know, sustainable and as natural as possible, that is going to help me to, you know, sustain my health and so on. And yeah, and I do believe in the tracking and measuring in the same way that I would do in many other areas of my life. And it's good. Like now, you know, I'm just about to be 50, and in a lot of sort of like fitness tests, I'm more like someone who would be in the late 20s in terms of my strength, in terms of many things. And I make sure that I prioritize, you know, things that I don't want to regret that I didn't do when I get older. So as an example, some of my team were always laughing because when we're about to set up a meeting, I would look at the surf forecast and I was gonna go like, okay, that day there's no meetings in the morning because I'm going surfing, and like for me, like if there's good waves, I'm going to surf, and I unless that there is like some really like major duty that I made a commitment to someone, then I make sure that I prioritize what is I consider important for my well-being, so I can look after others. And I believe that the problem with most business owners is that their business, instead of feeding their life, becomes actually more of a drain, where sometimes they even have to put their own money in their business. And I mean, on the short term, it might be okay to fund at the start, but if it's an ongoing chronic thing, then that's really like means there's something really wrong, and people choose sometimes not to see it. And in the business, instead of feeding them, their spirit and their ability to grow their contribution and to have fun and so on, becomes like a real drain for people. Like build a business, and in the process, they destroy their relationships, they destroy their health, and then they have to use all the money that they built to try to get those back, or to salvage and like to pay for the consequences of what has been ignored. And that doesn't make any sense to me. So I'd rather that people start from the top and do it properly from the beginning, in a way that they're gonna not only have fun but enjoy the journey. So I'm just gonna make a small digression here. Actually, many years ago, I used to do a lot of martial arts, and when I got my first time like the black belt, and I was like, I don't know, I sort of felt a bit deflated, and I wasn't going training anymore after. And I was like, okay, what's going on? And I realized that, it's good to be goal driven and so on, but actually once you achieved some of the things, they lose their shine sometimes after a while. And if you have to be able to understand how to enjoy the process, and to understand that actually what matters is not that you have a piece of black, cotton around your belt, like your waist, is who you had to become and all the skills you had to learn to be able to do that. And it's no different in your business. So if your journey in the business is going to be unpleasant, and you're going to, squander your health and like, just have a bad time the whole way, then there's really no point in doing it. Like, it's not, it's okay sometimes short term, because you have to, push something really hard, and then the business takes its own life from there. But like there is nothing that justifies to lose your health. And for me, I'm super passionate about this. And when we work, with clients that are a bit more on the higher tier, we really look at 100, 80-degree in terms of all of their personal, behaviors and beliefs and all of this, and the whole rest of the whole 360 about what do they actually really need and want financially in their life. What, do they want, to be as a person, to feel, to experience, and so on. And like to be able to make sure that the whole ecosystem of their business aligns well to their life, and that the business is one of the pillars that is helping for them to achieve everything that they want, and not just an area that is how would you say straying them away from being able to be healthy. That's what I meant.
Yeah, awesome, mate. No, some great stuff there. I loved it. And yeah, being the pillar, of business, helping life. And yeah, I think that physical fitness is a big part of that too. Like you mentioned, whether it's the surfing or, the martial arts like you, whether it's sport or even just walking, like, doing something to keep the body moving, keeps you younger. And then, making sure that, you're getting the sleep and all the other areas so that, your life is fulfilled, right? In all of those
Yeah,
different areas.
actually, I want to add a small thing on that actually. So sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, good.
Just for people to be able to have some practical sort of pragmatic things, and thank you for prompting that to me, because I didn't go into that enough. Like, it's the basics are not that complicated, right? So, the things that I learned over the last few years, just to keep it really simple, if your muscles and your body is strong, you will not have pain. So that's the first thing. And if you do some of the basic things that you need, which is, like you said, sleeping properly, good nutrition for your energy, quality water intake, and movement daily. Normally, those should already get you, to the 80% to be able to function. So one of the key issues nowadays is like most business owners with the advancement of technology and so on are spending just way too much time like being sedentary and not being mobile enough. So you got to move at least 3 times a day. You got to make breaks during your day. And one of the things that we actually do with every single client when we do their success planning for the year, the first thing that we schedule is their holidays. Okay. So you need to take a few weeks a year where you disconnect completely, because that helps your brain to recharge and to be able to get better creative solutions for your business and so on. And it's important for you as a human being and your family and all of that. Yeah, you would want to have at the very, very least, like, like a few days a quarter, just to have mini breaks, and at least 1 day per week. If there are people who can function very differently and that can only, sleep 4 hours a day, and that can work 360 days a year. I guess, I'm just saying general rules, right? And everybody's different. But I find for 99% of the people, if you don't have the time to recharge, it's not only going to impact you, but it's going to hurt your business too.
Yeah, awesome, mate. I love it. Some really great points there, which yeah, so important, and yeah, putting yourself first, right? And the business helping alongside that. So love it. Let's talk about coaching and mentoring a bit more, right? Well, obviously we're coach and mentors ourselves, that we help a lot of our clients with. But from your side of how important coaching mentoring has been for you, like in your business and life, and what it's helped you to achieve as well.
Yep. Thank you. That's something that I'd love to talk about as well. I guess, obviously, when you see the results, on working with people, then you think like, okay, it's probably something that, we need to use for our own sales as well. And yeah, I guess before I started to do that, I was already at that time, giving advice to a lot of business, because I had partnerships in accounting firms, and I was doing, different things and so on. But it's only really when I started to use a coach myself that I started to get clear on what did I really want to contribute value to, and what I was going to be doing and so on. So it's definitely a powerful thing. But I guess if I would summarize it in two things, is probably two things that I can like here now in my head is like, number one, one of my favorite, quotes, it's like something that if you know me, you would have heard before, and that I'm sort of, half famous for, is an adaptation of something that I've heard in the past and that I've changed. And it goes like this: is what gets scheduled gets done, what gets measured gets improved, everything else is bullshit. Yeah. And the politically correct version is everything else goes in the valley of broken dreams. So what I found is basically, you have like, sometimes, clients, and you probably would have heard this yourself as well, that they say to you, oh, wow, they say mostly to my team, like, hey, if I didn't have the call with you, and you didn't, we didn't have written down that this particular thing that is really strategic and important in my business, there is no way in the world it would have got done, because I was so busy, doing this, and that, and my team had to take care of this and that and the other thing, and something happened in my personal life and blah, blah, blah. But because it was scheduled, because, there was accountability, it got done. So, it's really like those little small differences about being consistency, implementing the right thing, getting clarity on where you're going well, having the right measurement, having the support, all of this that, you would think that they're details, but if you track along the two people, one that is, using like the right methods, the right systems, has the right people to make sure that they have the, the right direction, that they're staying on track with those, that's really the huge difference, like over a short period of time, maybe not, but as you go along, someone who strays a little bit to someone who stays in the line, in the end, they will arrive to very, very different places. And then it ends up to the point where, you know, eventually the other person might run out of time or energy or, you know, belief or courage or whatever, because they have done this wrong thing so many times that they start to believe that it doesn't work. You know, like people would say, oh, marketing doesn't work. No, you just didn't learn how to do it properly, right? Um, and whereas the other one reached to the point where, you know, like success breeds more success. And, you know, it's like one of those things when you're driving in a car and you're getting all the green lights. When you follow the other path, all of a sudden, like, you just don't know what happened, but you find yourself in a place where, you know, you just didn't even realize it. And that's why it's important also, in terms of using the coaching and so on, to help you know, people to realize all of what they've achieved, so that they do enjoy the process, so that they do reward themselves, reward the team, and take credit for everything that they've done. Because us business owners have a tendency to always be like the go, 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 and to feel like responsible for, you know, doing good things and so on. And we tend sometimes to forget to take credit for who we are and what we do, and to you know, it's important to be able to reinforce the rest of the journey.
Yeah, awesome, mate. Love it. So true. Completely agree. The coaches, mentors, they help us get there a lot quicker and heading in the right direction. And that's why the biggest sports stars in the world have multiple coaches and mentors, right? To get them to,
Exactly.
yeah, enjoy that journey and achieve what they want to achieve. And yeah, a lot of value that you've dropped today, Fabrice. Thank you so much. And I guess as we're starting to wrap up, what one key piece of advice, yeah, would you like to give to all the entrepreneurs watching and listening today?
I think the number one thing that separates, from what I see, you know, the people who come to us at the start that are not doing well, or the people who come to us that are doing well materially, but that feel that there's something missing. If I had to look over the thousands of different factors, because they are, and try to boil it down for something, you know, that can be understood by everyone without having access to, you know, mentors and coaches and a community and all of the things that we provide to people, is about consistency. So I find that, you know, the real difference, you know, is whether it's not about trying to build, you know, like an overnight, you know, huge thing and so on, because more often than not, what happens there is, you know, you're trying to go up a ladder and you try to go 5, you know, like sort of levels at a time, and you slip and you fall in your ass, and every time the hole gets a bit bigger, and then, you know, you eventually you're gonna be so hurt that you're not gonna want to climb anymore. Is about, you know, being consistent and, you know, having the right, you know, like direction, and that is true to you, and that is making sense, and have the strategy that is aligned to that, and to be consistently implementing, tracking, changing when necessary, and improving. And that's, you know, the eighth wonder of the universe called compounding is where it starts to come into play, because your little 0.1% improvement that you're doing today, and the 0.1% that you're doing tomorrow, and the other one that you're doing the day after, is going to be like basically, you know, hundreds of percents over the years. And that's the most significant difference. Like, you're talking about athletes, for instance, you know, it's not like people go to the gym and exercise, you know, with, you know, 100, you know, kilo weights for 24 hours, and then they do nothing for, you know, 20 years. It's about, you have the right methodologies, you have the right coaches, you basically, you know, do it every day, and you know, keep on doing all the right actions. And when something is not going right, you go, okay, you know, this is looking not right. Let's look, is this my diet? Is this, is this that? And it goes the same in the business, but for whatever strange reasons, people get, you know, help with everything else in their life, but in their business, they have the illusion that somehow it's just gonna figure itself out, but it just doesn't work this way. And you can save yourself so much time, effort, and hassle by, you know, joining the, you know, the right things that are for you at the right time.
Yeah, great points. I love it. Yeah, consistency and keeping that journey afloat. So yeah, we connected and learned about your journey from obviously being the founder of, Australian Business Coaching meant for business and working with businesses all over the world and thousands of them as well. And awesome guy, Fabrice, very knowledgeable, in time that we've, known each other and what you shared, with everyone today, which has been awesome. And I'm sure you continue to help, business owners all over the world identify, the process codes to build that business success consistently on whatever that exit strategy is, if they want to exit or if they want to, just continue and have that business there working for them so that they're creating that, that freedom that they want, right, in their life and in that holistic success, in your words. And yeah, very grateful we connected. Yeah, how can people find you, get in contact with you, Fabrice?
Sure. I think probably the easiest is we've got a few different brands, but since you are an Aussie, let's go for Australia, businesscoaching.com.au. So Australia, like the country, and then businesscoaching.com.au. There's usually, it changes over time, but there's always some free resources there, whether you're starting or growing or looking to exit and already doing really well. You can always go there. And usually also from time to time, if you have a particular goal or challenge that you haven't reached or that is, giving you a headache, we give as a one-time only a very express, consultation that my team will, help you with that particular challenge. If it's most of the time something we can help you to resolve quickly, we will do that as a one-time credit for our karma. And some of the times it's something we cannot help, and we will point you to the right resources and people because we have a very extensive network. And some of the times we can help you with your 10-minute things, but it's more going to be about a 6 months problem that you've underestimated. And in that case, you can choose whether you want to discuss further if it's something that you want to engage with us to help you with. So that would be the case. And there's always some interesting resources on our blogs and things that we give away to help businesses at the different stages from growing to exiting.
Yeah, awesome. Definitely check out Fabrice there at, Australia Business Coaching, the website, and everything, all the resources, and having a chat, from there if that's what you're needing help with as well. And yeah, been a pleasure interviewing you, Fabrice. And yeah, thanks for being on the Business Growth Show.
Thanks for having us. It's awesome. You're doing great stuff for businesses, and thanks for your service and everything you do. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening to this show where we talk about everything on business growth. And please like, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review. You can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as Athin Cassiotis, or visit my website, athincassiotis.com. If you want to grow and scale your business, you can reach out to me on any platform to see if we're a good fit. I completely agree with you, or do I? The only way you know is if you tune in next time. So until next time, remember that our business grows when we learn skills and take action using them in spite of fear. So remember to design your growth and results.